flag.
America. And to the republic for which we stand, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I don't. 2 years ago, we lost.
Want me to do roll call? Majeski?
Here. Here. Here.
Coldplay?
Jenny.
Here.
Cowler?
Here.
Amber Zayda?
Here.
Gilmore?
Here.
Castle?
Here.
Yeah.
Thank you. Before we approve the agenda, there's some changes. Number 5, closed session has been postponed. Our attorney called in sick. And down under 9. Be between A and B, Lori's got a report to give. Is there a motion to accept the agenda as approved as amended?
I'll make the motion, we accept the agenda as presented with the changes.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Vote. Motion carries. Judge Farrell is going to be a few minutes late, so we're gonna proceed down, and when he comes, we will add him in. Let's do the committee assignments review. Did anyone have, Jeff, I made the correction you wanted.
Okay.
Did anyone else have a conflict with the committees that were assigned?
Chair.
Yeah.
All due respect. I've been serving on the Michigan Community Action Board for 30 years now. I'd like to continue on it.
You'd like to continue on that committee? I gave it to Jacob only because he lives in Cardwell. I thought it'd be more safe.
Saying that I've worked very closely with these people for years. So I appreciate continuing that.
Okay. You have a problem with that, Jacob?
No.
Okay.
Thank you.
That's in there.
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
One correction on the second page, number 10. Our meetings are the 4th Tuesday of the month at 4 p.m.
Sorry.
All right,
Okay, I'm sorry.
that's on correction.
Any other corrections? Do we have a motion to accept them as amended?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. It's too easy.
I'll make those adjustments and then email out to everybody.
Yeah, but 2 of these. One different deal.
Go ahead, Lori.
First of all, I need to bring up that Act MCL 4630 prohibits a member of the County Board of Commissioners from being interested directly or indirectly in any contract or other business transaction with the county or a board office or commission thereof during the time of which they are elected or appointed the 1 year thereafter. I want to bring up, and I've talked with Jacob about this, that Clare County does business with Harrison Family Pharmacy for our inmates' prescription drugs. And we do a great deal of business with them, and we do not perceive that to be a conflict. Jacob is associated with Harrison Family Pharmacy. His family owns the pharmacies and he does work for them. So I am bringing that out into the open and to let people know that we've established a business with Harrison Family Pharmacy, and it is not because Jacob Gross is a commissioner. 46.30.
Next thing is the wage discussion for the prosecutor. The wage and personnel committee met
to review that and saw that you have a sheet in front of you that shows average comparable counties with Clare County. And it is substantially lower than average. And the committee recommended 3-year steps. First year, we would move to 105,000, second year 110, third year 115. That was the recommendation of the committee. Any discussion or question? And this would come out of his current budget. There would not have to be any budget adjustment.
I'll make the motion, we accept the recommendations of the committee.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to accept the recommendations of the committee.
What were those numbers again, please, Chairman?
105 first year, 110 the second year, 115 the third year.
This is for just the prosecutor.
Just the prosecutor. I think we had already given him permission to increase the wage for the chief assistant, didn't we?
Yeah.
Okay. Since this involves money, do we have to do roll call?
Yes.
Okay.
Majewski,
Yes.
Hagan,
Yes.
Hausler,
Yes.
Reinhardt,
Yes.
Gross,
Yes.
Gilmore,
Yes.
Hoagland,
Yes.
Ambrositis.
No.
Haskell,
Yes.
motion carried.
Thank you. Next thing is election consolidation discussion and ballot programming. The committee did meet and talk about that as well. And we would like to go into contract with the townships for the expensive programming between the townships and the clerk. Did you want to do this, Lori?
Do you want me to do the
Yeah,
presentation?
why don't you do that?
I have to use my notes. You have this, Taylor?
Yeah.
So. The county's responsibility. Is for elections is to provide. Ballots and precinct supply kits for local units. And the programming of the ballots is the responsibility of the local units. Decided by the local unit of government's election commission. Traditionally, the Clare County Clerk's Office has provided the ballot programming for free. With the massive changes in election laws, the previous duties associated with elections has become more labor intensive. This chart that I passed out to you is an example of what last year's cost would have been for Arthur Township. I used Arthur Township as an example. I picked Arthur Township because it was the first one on the list. So let me pull out these expenses here. So Arthur Township last year, they would have had to have 12 different ballots because of the different school districts and running for school board in the different school districts, and then the primary and the February and then the August and then the November. So if you look at your chart and you look at the top right corner of the chart or something. So those are the 4 lines I want you to look at, for right now. The board approved in 2023 the hiring of an election coordinator, providing all of the townships contracted for the election consolidation, and that contract was signed for 2 years. The board then approved to pay for the election consolidation throughout 2024 to have a better understanding of the impact the 9 days of early voting would have and to ease the burden of the local units. So we used ARPA money to do that. So moving forward in an election year, and I'm using last year as an example, Arthur Township could have had to pay $15,518. In a non-election year, with the approval of the election coordinator, Arthur Township would have to pay $4,178. Again, this is using last year's example and just Arthur Township as an example. So I've emailed every local unit, a request of the committee that I email the local units. And, I've heard back from 12 so far. And they wish to have the county clerk program the ballots for them instead of contracting it out. The local units cannot contract with an elected official separately from the county. They must go through the county as the fiduciary. We're checking that with our attorney and insurance. So let me show you what that would look like. Go down under the first yellow highlight. It'll say, let's just go down to election year in the far right. And that would give you the idea of the cost of what it would have cost Arthur Township last year. And that number total is $2,274. So the townships would pay $278 for ballot programming. And then for the that's per election. And then for the consolidation, they would pay $480 per election. So last year, that total would be $2,274. So if the townships paid the clerk, if they contracted with the county to pay the clerk to program the ballot, it would cost them $278 per election. A non-election year, it would cost them nothing. So here's how I came up with the numbers for the consolidated. These are all the costs that the county incurred for the 3 elections that were the 9 days of early voting. So this is all the election workers, this is every cost that the county had, or every bit of it. So we take out, I took out the cost that we already pay employees Monday through Friday. Because we're already here, the lights are already on, the heat's already on, we don't need to charge for any of that. We only need to charge the extra cost. So for the year, for us, it was $25,896.28 to have the early voting here at the county. Which really wasn't as that bad. So that comes out to, $480. Well, for the 9 days for each township, it would have been $1,440, but for each election, it's only $480. And that's, we're still covering other costs, but they're covering all of the extra costs that we would have.
Did we run this past Lori? Yeah.
I did run it past Lori. And, so that would be like a $5,004, payment from the townships, but it would have to come through the county as the fiduciary because, the townships cannot contract with her separately.
Does the money go to Lori directly or does it go into the clerk's office?
It would go to whoever's programming the ballot.
So
Because the
question,
townships would be paying for the ballot programming. to whomever's programming the ballot, and Lori would be programming.
So it would go to them personally,
Yes.
the money. So what equipment will that person be using? Will it be using the equipment that the county has already purchased?
Yes,
So how does that work when it goes to individual, when we've approved to purchase that for the county?
I'm sorry.
Because years ago, a few years ago, we approved to purchase the computer, the program, and provide the training for a program ballot person. So the actual computer and the program belong to the county. So how can an individual benefit from using that equipment?
She wouldn't be benefiting, she'd be as a county employee, that's why we would have to be the fiduciary. Because she would not be able to contract separately with the local units, she would have to be as an employee, get that, so we'd have to have a contract between the county, the township, and the clerk.
Basically, the contract is compensation.
Whatever you put in the contract for the ballot program.
And Laura, you're just saying the county would be the pass through.
Yes,
That
the
they have
county's
to the
just a
county and the
pass.
county would pay
Yeah.
Lori that.
Yeah, the county would just be the pass through for the programming.
So the main difference here is that on non-election years, there'd be no cost to the townships, and then during election years. Doing the stipend is, they're not paying for an election coordinator, and the cost for the ballot programming is $9,000
No,
plus less.
yes,
For the non-stipend.
yes. But it's not, yes, that's correct. So it would be. So if it's an early voting, it would be $758
So
per
is this
election.
also for elections?
No.
Right, so
between here and here.
right, so this says,
13 grand.
so is it the 9,900 for every election? So this would be,
No, this would be like
Okay,
a
so
tier
this would
worst case
be-
scenario.
okay, so this would be, it'd be, okay.
So there's gonna be an election in May. But it's not gonna be a 9-day, there's not gonna be 9-day early voting. And so the ballot would be programmed by the clerk, so that would be $278 per local unit of government. But in this case, we would charge the entity that is requesting the election, and the townships would not be charged for that. So we would charge the $278 per local unit to the entity that is requesting the election.
So that wouldn't cost us anything,
Nothing,
even for the program.
even for the programming.
So in the contract, which could be like all the clauses on time, direct mail and stipulations like that in the contract.
Yeah, we'll just I can start putting that contract together later today, and I think we have a good start on an intergovernmental agreement.
I think we'd have to see the contract after we see it. But I think we should proceed with either approving going with the contract or not.
If you do that, if you vote on that today, do you want me to have the contract to you at the next board meeting?
That's what I was thinking. We had taken care of it. for the court.
And then we could vote on it
Right,
then,
whether to approve the
whether
contract or
to
not.
approve the
Is this
contract.
time sensitive because they need to start programming and know what we're doing?
Well, I believe that the February or the May election programming, if it's contracted out, it has to go be to the vendor by next week.
Take care of today.
But I mean, as far as you can approve the verbiage in the contract. You can approve the activity, but then approve the verbiage in the contract at the next meeting. But, approve the consolidation and the programming.
And we do understand that that would mean we're not hiring an election clerk.
Was that a question?
Yes.
That's my understanding, that's
Yes.
We talked about.
We have a motion to proceed with developing this contract.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Okay, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thanks, Lori. Josh. so we don't waste your time, you're up.
No, they're not wasting my time. I appreciate it. Thank you. Sit over there, but I want to turn it back to you guys, so.
You want to share?
Sure, yeah, that'd be great. Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. I appreciate the board squeeze us in between cases, and so. The reason I'm here this morning is that Mrs. Phelps had asked, as she has frequently over the last 13, 14 years. For me to come down and present some good news to the board. I know you don't always hear a lot of good news and things, and so I think it's refreshing to get some positive news about things that are going on in our community. And one of those things since about 2011, I've been asked to come down following elections to give a refresher to our veteran commissioners, but also to give some information to maybe new incoming elected officials. And so the reason I'm here is to bring everyone up to speed with a program that we have here in Clare and Gladwin County. And this is the Clare and Gladwin County Recovery Court Program and Veterans Treatment Court Program. A lot of people are unfamiliar with the concept, especially if you are not familiar with the court system. About 80% of the general public will never interact with the judicial system. And so it's very interesting to provide statistics about things that affect people that do come through this program. So a lot of people will ask, well, what is a recovery court? What is a problem solving court? What's a specialty court? And basically the best way to explain it is if you were to get a group of people together and if you have some type of problem that's occurring in a family, in a community, and you basically have a collaborative effort to try and tackle that issue. And we utilize a holistic or collaborative approach in that we have determined, as many communities throughout Michigan, throughout the United States, have very, very significant substance abuse problems. And it can be everything from pain medication, it could be heroin, it could be methamphetamine, it can be fentanyl. You know, this is all over the news and you are hearing about it, northern border or southern border, whatever your politics are. The truth of the matter is these substances are coming in at such a rapid rate in Clare and Gladwin County that we're experiencing overdose deaths, we're experiencing breakups of families. And so what we've determined is that, like many communities, we have this problem or this issue. So in 2011, I began a program similar to others around the program. And what we do is if individuals interact with the criminal justice system, we collaborate with judges, prosecutors, defense attorneys, law enforcement, counselors, our treasurer, county administrators, yourselves as a funding agent, probation, community mental health. And we put all of these pieces together locally, combine those efforts and try to work with these individuals to work on their sobriety, their education, their experience, their housing, their duty to society. We work on their fines and costs. We provide community service, family reintegration, employment, reduction in recidivism. And we do this over about an 18 to 24 month period. And at the end, we actually, similar to high school and college, we actually host graduation ceremonies for these individuals. So what these programs, a little background in them is that the first veterans treatment program started just not too long ago in 2008 in Buffalo. The first recovery court or specialty court program started in Florida in 1989. There are now more than 3,800 of these programs nationwide. When we started our program, we were one of the first veterans treatment court programs in the state of Michigan. There are still only 28 of them statewide, but when we started this, there were under 10. When we started the problem solving court in 2011, there were approximately 20 statewide. And now there are 136 problem solving courts, 43 mental health courts, and 28 veterans treatment courts. So we were kind of a leader, and I think that our experience and leadership has brought great dividends to our local population, but also to the state. We are now recognized as a state certified program veterans and non-veterans. In fact, we are a mentor court for other communities throughout the state of Michigan where teams will come in, we utilize this room, teams will come in from all over the state as far as west of the UP, as you can think, Ontonagon. So we train these programs to help residents in their local area. The thing that I'm most proud of is that some of our local statistics for many of you to recognize is how many people are we working with. And when you hear the number, it may not be what you see as a large or impressive number, because right now we have 42 members in our program, 33 non-veterans, 9 veterans. The veterans are combat, non-combat, and so at 42, but when you look at the spider web of 42 individuals that might have a spouse, now you're at 84. They have 2 kids, now you're in the hundreds and thousands. And for a community like this, we're able to get people back to their work, to their families. We have employers throughout the community that maybe previously would have looked at these folks saying, well, you've got a drug problem, you're a felon. We work hand in hand with many employers throughout the community and put these folks back to work, and we've been successful with those programs. A lot of you as a funding agent will look, well, how do you do this and how do you pay for it? Primarily, this program is funded, local, state. Michigan is a pass-through for federal dollars. I'm proud to announce that since we started the program, we've had 136 graduates of the program, 42 currently in. We have a waiting list of individuals come in, and we have brought in just a hair under $1.1 million to Clare County for this program, no expense to our taxpayers, over 1.1 million. So the idea of this program in a nutshell, because I know you have many things to get to, is you take an individual, for instance, you may have a combat individual returning from service, transitioning to civilian lifestyle. They may have suffered a traumatic brain injury, post-traumatic stress disorder, aggressive behavior, substance abuse issues, and within 48 to 72 hours of departing the military plane, they're in civilian life, and they can find themselves in a difficult situation as they transition. So with our veterans, we are very, very attentive to these medical, psychosocial issues that they deal with, suicide, substance abuse, and typical transition to civilian life. I'm proud to announce that just last Thursday, we actually graduated 2 combat veterans from our program. We are a regionalized veterans treatment program, so we actually, these graduates weren't even from here, and we were able to assist them. One was from Gaylord, very, very successful individual, extensive combat history. The other individual just north of here, Crawford County. And the struggle is real. That graduate, 3 days following his graduation, his 30-year-old brother, also a military member, committed suicide just within the last 2 weeks. And so we struggle with these issues daily. The theory of the program is that once an individual is charged with a crime, a defense attorney, a prosecutor, a community member, family member, the jail works very closely with us. They notify us of an individual that needs help, and that's the biggest thing. It's not notifying us of a person that's in trouble. It's somebody that truly needs help. We've had some of the richest individuals in this community be a part of our program, and we've had some of the poorest. So it doesn't discriminate on the issues that they deal with. But when they come in, we tell them, we basically own your life for about 2 years. They meet with the judge every 2 weeks, myself and our entire team, 12 to 13 team members. We meet from 8 o'clock to 9:30. We discuss every participant, the goods, the bads. And then we go into a session with our participants for about an hour and a half. And we congratulate them if they're doing well. We sanction them if they're doing bad. We work through the program. It's 18 months, 4 phases, 3, 4, 5, and 6 are the consecutive phase months that they do. And basically, while they're involved with that, they are working on everything that they need to basically put their life back together. Anything that you can think of, so that when they walk out of the program, they are successful and ready to go. They're employed. They have their driver's license. One of our graduates 2 weeks, primary care physician,
eye appointments, ear,
Yeah,
Any
everyday
surgery?
medicals. We have, one of the individuals that graduated 2 weeks ago had not had a driver's license in 34 years. During his participation in the program, he now has a license. We actually have a success rate, one of the highest in the states. 90% of our participants have reobtained their driver's license before graduation. We also have some statistics that I can share with you because there may be naysayers. You'll hear theories about around the state programs like there are names like Hug a Thug and that you're hand holding and how do you get law enforcement buy-in? Or why don't you just throw these people in jail? The statistics that I'll share with this board and the community, and when I go out and speak, I share this, is that if you look nationwide, 85% of every crime that's committed involves substance abuse. And people say, well, throw them in jail and that'll solve the problem. Well, we know, and sheriff can tell you, what the cost of incarcerating an individual per day, per month, per year is. So the biggest factor to look at is when they walk out of the jail, people assume that the problem is solved. 85% of individuals that are released from jail will reoffend within 90 days of their release. That's just a national statistic. So we have been very successful. We lead the region, we lead the state, and we lead local communities. We exceed all local, regional, and state averages for graduates. And that's why we've been, I think, so successful.
And for non-reoffending, 3 years.
And our recidivism, post-graduation, 2 years, 3 years, up to 5 years, tracking their recidivism, reoffense rates. We beat all of those averages. So the reason I come back is just to let folks like yourselves know as you go back into your respective districts, people feel helpless. It's important to convey a message that there is help here. And that if you reach out to Lori or Lisa or myself or anyone that's on our team, and you guys know all of our team members. I mean, it's a great team that we have. But let them know that there are programs out there. We're doing a very, very good job. So we appreciate this board and the Gladwin boards for financially contributing each year because these programs do come with an expense. But the local expense, I think, is roughly about $7,500.
$7,500.
Yeah, so
And
obviously,
December.
yeah, and obviously, we're not here asking for more money today. We'd certainly
We are.
appreciate. Oh, we are. Oh, yeah.
No, but I-
So we would always.
I'm just for this.
That's right. We would certainly look at any modification would be well appreciated. Mrs. Ashley works hard very, very much each year to secure these grants. They're not difficult. There's a lot of competition, as you can see, with the number of programs growing. That pot of money gets smaller and smaller, but I just think it's important for our veteran commissioners, but our newer ones to know that we have this here locally and we've got a wonderful team. And so I wanted to come here and share that with you today.
Do you have brochures that can be distributed throughout the townships?
We could certainly provide those to you, absolutely. And if that's something that
Because
you're
I think
interested in.
that would be very helpful to the.
I do too. It's a great thing. And like I said, it can be for veterans, it can be for non-veterans. But I think just disseminating that information throughout our community is key. Because a lot of people do struggle with economic issues, education issues. We know the demographics of Clare and Gladwin County. We're not the biggest communities in the state. Unemployment rates, obesity rates, education rates, but we do struggle, but we also thrive, and the individuals that come through this are very successful. So
I would like to, at another meeting, discuss the opioid dollars and expanding the recovery court program, talking with the board about using the opioid dollars to expand the recovery court program. You can't duplicate a service, but you can expand a service. And there's such a big waiting list for the recovery court program. And with all the meetings that we had with the stakeholders, the pretrial services was one of the biggest gaps that we had in the communities, both communities, Gladwin and Clare County. And so that's kind of where I'm gonna be having a request to you in the near future.
And one of the things, just to be very quickly before I turn it over to Mrs. Ashley, is it's important to recognize one thing, and this is Phelps hits on this, is that we are aiming to mend those gaps. And what I mean by that is an individual that comes into a program like this, we shouldn't make these individuals wait.
No.
And so if an individual, if we have a sense of a problem with an arrest, this program is not available from the time of the arrest until they're sentenced. Once they're sentenced, then they're in our program. So that's where our success begins. Where we need to expand, and we found the gaps, is this. From the time of the arrest until they're sentenced, depending on misdemeanor and felony matters, it can take 1, 2, 3, 4 months. And so when you talk about pre-trial services on another day, that's closing that gap, getting services to individuals quickly. The other gap that's important to think about, and one of the most common questions in the community that I receive from students, parents, business leaders, is what if my mom, what if my brother, what if my son is experiencing problems but is not in trouble? That's the last gap that we have to hit. So if we have individuals where a mother calls and says, my gosh, I think my son's in the meth, I think my son's in the fentanyl, thank God he hasn't been charged yet. That's the last gap that we want to fill, is we don't necessarily encourage people to get in trouble so they get help. So how do we close that gap? And I think that Mrs. Phelps and Mrs. Ashley will talk with you on another day about that. But we certainly would appreciate any support that you can provide to us.
Josh, how does local employer on your list,
We can take that information down immediately, and this is a great thing. And it's an excellent question, because when we first started the program, we would simply reach out to a couple of employers, and we got shunned. We expected it. There's a stigma with individuals who stop substance abuse, veterans that are in trouble. We don't want an aggressive person that's, in our employment. But what we have found is, I don't even want to say almost every employer in the two communities, once they know that they're in a 18 to 24 month structured appointment oversight program, once they know that they're drug and alcohol tested daily, they can't get in trouble, they're doing everything more receptive than less. And many of the individuals in the program are very, very skilled. Most of them aren't people that are unemployed. I would say probably 90% of our people are employed. So we can provide
a lot of success with the offers,
Yeah.
as a helper. They prove themselves in 6 or 8 months, I went through trucking school.
Yeah,
I've had 10 minutes to go through that, but coming out with background like that.
absolutely.
Very successful. So
Yeah.
we were interested.
And many employers do have substance abuse related programs within their employment to help individuals that maybe fall on hard times. And so we would work closely with any employer within the community to keep them advised. They sign releases, and so if they don't show up to work, they're probably going to jail. So
I call them.
so we stay on top of it.
I've actually seen that happen, so going to the recovery court, which has been one of my favorite things to do, because it's such a feel good. But the last time I was there, there were a couple of people that did not follow what they were supposed to do. So they get up and they have to address the judge, and the whole program is there in the courtroom. And judge actually had them cuffed and arrested and taken to jail right then and there. So there's really not a lot of hugs, right?
No, but in graduation there are. It's some of the most emotional experience. If you ever would like to attend a session, it's every other Thursday, not tomorrow, but every other Thursday, 9:30. We welcome you to attend. Graduations are some of the most emotional things you'll ever see, where people are clapping. We had a graduate that said, I've never had a judge shake my hand. I've never had a probation officer say, you're doing a great job. And when they graduate, the parents will come in. We've had parents and grandparents fly from across the country that were near overdose deaths, and they would come in and they say, you know, you saved our son, you saved our mom, you saved, these things. And so, we've got great resources, locally. And so it's definitely an experience. So if you'd like to attend, we'd love to have you. We'll certainly introduce you and, let them know you're very supportive. So, thank you all very much. Appreciate it. Have a great day. Thanks, Jack.
Can I just dovetail a little bit?
Yeah. No, that's okay. Go right
I
ahead.
just wanted to dovetail on Judge said, you guys should be really proud that that you support this program for the residents of the community. Because all of those people getting their driver's license, we now have licensed and registered and insured vehicles back on the road. They usually have, a blow and go in their car for a year or two, so that we monitor that, compliance and driving without being, drinking, that, that gives a good indication that the community is a little bit safer. As far as financing goes, we're only, and this is credited to Judge, this is his pet project. He absolutely loves what he does with Recovery Court and the Veterans Treatment Court. We are only granted for 30 people, so I only have enough money to pay for 30 participants. And as he said, we have 42. So you kind of cut corners in other places so that we can serve everybody. And the biggest is phase one. They're usually just out of jail, they've lost their job or they're indigent. So we have a window phase. As soon as somebody enters a plea, then I have grant funds that can take over their bond conditions. Bond may say, we're going to test you on demand, which could be once a week, once every 2 weeks. I'll test them 4 times a week. They'll start in treatment, they'll start in peer support. Our participants, if they don't have a job, understand completely, then you can work for free for 20 hours each and every week until you get a job. So that kind of leads people to quickly becoming employed a lot faster, or an improvement in their employment because of being in the program that they've done so well. They've been promoted into managerial positions and like, so it is good. It's making a change in our community, and not just a small change, but generational changes. When you have children that are seeing their parents get clean and sober, and that you teach the parents to take that child on a clean and sober journey with them, that yes, I made a mistake, I messed up, I did have trouble with the law, and now I'm correcting it, I'm fixing what I've done. And that's very, very powerful for a child to see their parent walk the walk and talk the talk. So that's just kind of what I wanted to do. And we've always appreciated the help that you guys have given us. And truly, though, we'd love to see you anytime if you have a minute on Thursdays, 9:30. The first session of the month is usually a half session, which only the phase 1 and 2 people are there. And then the second session of the month is a full session. And that's where everybody's there. That's when the graduations and all that kind of stuff is going to take place. So, do you guys have any questions? I think Judge was pretty thorough on the statistics and stuff like that, but we are a premier program, and you guys really should be super proud about that. I think it's so good because we just are so much into their business. You know, they just surrender everything when they come into the program, and we're constantly showing up at their work, showing up at their house, showing up at community service, meeting them at the drug testing facilities. And just every time we turn around, we're popping up, and you just know that we want them to succeed. And they really feel that judge is on their side, and they've never had that with law enforcement or judge before. And it's really great. The graduations are wonderful. So if you guys can ever come, that'd be awesome. Thank you very much. Thank you for your continued support, and I'll meet with Ms. Phelps about the opioid dollars one time.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, guys.
I need to,
Oh, go ahead.
okay. A couple things that I would like to, for you to think about and discuss right now and possibly bring up at the next meeting is, I would like to the board to approve, and you can do it at the next meeting, credit card for our maintenance department. With a $3,000 limit. We have found that the purchase of tires for the patrol vehicles is half the cost. If you purchase it on there's an eBay site that we can purchase them on. And currently, we're using either the administration credit card or senior services credit card, which ties that up for other things. So we need to, I'd like to have a credit card for maintenance for the purchase of the tires. With Jenny being okay with it too. And then,
I have no approval authority on it.
so
I
we did
just
not,
got the card if you approve.
Our maintenance department is awesome now. I
They are.
don't know if you guys have ever had to experience any, they're wonderful, wonderful team.
and then during the budgeting process, I did get bids on windows, but I did not put it in the capital outlay for this year. Although I did put a bug in your ear that if we had so much more money in revenue than we did in expenditures, I would like you to consider the replacement of the windows in the courthouse. The bid is $148,900. That may change slightly because this bid was done in May of last year, but for the budgeting process, but I'd like you to consider it and discuss it. I'm not asking for it right now, but I'd like you to consider and discuss it because the windows that have not been replaced are made of wood and they are rotting. We have the window upstairs, the city had to come and screw it shut with screws because it was falling out of the building. They had to come with their lift, so that's something I would like you to think about and consider for the next meeting.
Okay.
Okay,
Great, what was that, 48,000?
148.9,
Okay,
that's it.
there were a couple of other things the Wage and Personnel Committee discussed too. With the uncertainty right now of federal and state budgeting, we felt they recommended we have a hiring freeze. Where any replacements or new hirees would have to be approved individually by the board before they would be hired. So I personally think we should take action on it today. To either approve or disapprove a hiring freeze.
I'll make that motion.
Second. Is there any more discussion on that or?
Well, you know,
The facts.
Right, correct, yeah.
I've never seen the uncertainty that I've experienced this week with funding. You know, the federal government is, at least for this point, is intent on cutting the size of government. And they're doing that by eliminating funding. Departments and agencies. So, you know, the old saying, hope for the best, but prepare for the worst. I think this is the time we need to really watch. The people that I have talked to have said they were really careful about spending money, at least temporarily. So a hiring freeze, I think, right now is exactly what
I agree.
There will be times that I may bring in a request for an exception to you.
Well, as long as it comes before the board, I think that's great.
How long is this expected to last?
Well, I would say till further notice, but I think the hiring freeze is just good management at this point, because I think in the next year, things will even out, but I still think we have to be careful. Okay, all those in favor, say aye. Opposed? Motion carried. The other thing was, it came up, and this was during wage and personnel, and also when we were talking about the extra requirements on our county clerk's office. Excuse me. Check signing is not a statutory duty for the clerk's office. And I think if we return that to the administrator, it used to be the administrator signed those checks. The clerk's only statutory duty in the finance is to verify the finance committee's approved finances.
May I speak about that?
Yes.
In the past, checks have been sent out without the clerk's approval. This way, the checks don't get sent out until I do approve them. Once a check is sent out, oops, how do we get it back? It's checks and balances. Administration approves the POs. They approve all the spending. This is checks and balances so that no check gets out until a second person outside of that department has checked it. I disagree with it.
You still get to verify.
Exactly, but
The
it
finance
goes out,
committee
sometimes it goes out before the clerk verifies it. That happens.
Well-
This way it doesn't happen. It never happens because my signature is required.
Trying to help you out because of the duties you had, and it still get the check out on time.
The checks do get out on time. They get out the same day every week. Even when I'm on vacation, I come in, or if Stacy's on vacation, she comes in. It's not an inconvenience, it's a part of our job, and we're not asking you to take it out of our office.
We need a motion to that effect.
Make a motion to move check cycle back to administration.
Why would you do that after I told you it's not a burden? Why do you want to take away that checks and balances?
It's not statutory duty. Previously before that was.
It's personal, got it, both of you, very personal.
It's not personal.
It absolutely
I'm
is.
trying to help you, your office.
You didn't ask me what I needed help with. I told you what I needed help with. You have never had a conversation with me about my office, never. With the exception of Gabe and David, none of you have. You people don't talk to me, you don't communicate with me, you don't answer phone calls, you don't respond to
I've
emails.
never not able. I do respond.
You
to
have
you.
no, you don't.
You have an email, thing.
Yeah.
You have none.
I absolutely have regarding the wage discussion. I'm not gonna argue with you. This is totally personal. You did it with the wage increase.
I call for a vote.
Okay, vote has been called for. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Let's do this by, roll call, please.
Majeski,
Yes.
Gross,
No.
Feinhardt,
Yes.
Copeland,
No.
Ambrositis,
No.
Gilmore,
Yes.
Hausler,
Yes.
Bacon,
Yes.
motion carried. Oh, Haskell, sorry. I was forget you.
I haven't got to be last.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, motion carried. I think now we're to closed session. There are motion to go into closed session.
Can I ask
Oh.
one question of Lori? Did you want to also have them possibly think about us, paying off the 2 senior meal sites, USDA loans? And
Yeah, I
putting
just have to
that
wait to
internal?
hear from Bryce for those numbers.
Okay.
I'll make the motion. We go into closed session.
Wait, you have
It's
to
not the
read,
proper motion.
you have to read this motion off of the,
Yeah, I was gonna get ready to read it.
okay, sorry.
I make the motion, we go into closed session, that we enter into closed session to discuss settlement strategy and pending lawsuit. Slaughter versus Clare County Sheriff's Office, case 24-900176, pursuant to MCL 15268.
For a second.
Second.
Okay, roll call, please.
Who was that second?
Marlene.
Bethany,
Yes.
Yes.
Bacon,
Yes.
Feinberg,
Yes.
Copeland,
Yes.
Hauser,
Yes.
Anderson.
Yes.
Gilmore,
Yes.
Castle,
Yes.
motion carried.
Okay, if you would excuse us then, while we have closed session.
Good.
That's a lot for me.
Yeah, you guys like Wyatt and Fox when they're talking about Democrats and Republicans.
Like watching the bottom. And, not. Thank you. Great.